Yes, every state has its own little personality, its own rules, and its own secret recipe for how they hand out those precious PR invitations. Some states are super chill and practically begging people to move there. Others, bit pickier. So, in this video, we're diving deep into Australia PR points by state, how they vary, what makes each one tick, and how to play the game to your advantage. You need a minimum of 65 points just to be eligible to apply. But let's be honest, these days, 65 points isn't going to get you anywhere fast unless you're a wizard in a highly demanded field. So aiming higher, like 80 or even 90, is often the smarter move. And that's where the states come in. If you go through a state nomination, they can boost your score with extra points. Either 5 or 15 points depending on the visa. Sounds good, right? But here's the twist. Each state has its own rules for who they'll nominate. So, let's go on a little road trip across Australia and see what's going on in each state in 2025. 1. New South Wales. Alright, let's start with the big one. Sydney, beaches, traffic. Yeah, that one. New South Wales is kinda like that friend who throws amazing parties but doesn't invite everyone. They have a long list of occupations they'll accept, but they can be really competitive. The bar is high here, folks. They typically want people with strong work experience, higher points, often 85 plus, and in-demand jobs like IT, engineering, or healthcare. And even then, there's no guarantee you'll get an invite. New South Wales is like the cool kid in school. Popular, good-looking, but kinda hard to impress. 2. Victoria, Melbourne, coffee, artsy vibes. Victoria is great if you're into culture and being cold, 6 months a year. The state has been focusing a lot on STEM fields: science, tech, engineering, math, and medicine. So, if you're in one of those, Victoria might just give you a big warm hug, or at least a cautious nod. Now, here's the kicker. They used to be really into requiring local work experience, but lately they've been relaxing a little. Still, they prefer folks who are already in Victoria, so if you're offshore, it might be a bit trickier unless your occupation is super high demand. And the points? You'll usually need around 80 plus, but some lucky legends have gotten in with a little less if their job is critical. 3. Queensland, Sunshine State, beaches, crocodiles, and people who call flip-flops thongs. Queensland is more regional friendly. Brisbane gets some love, but if you're willing to live and work in regional Queensland, think Cairns, Townsville, Rockhampton, you might have better luck. They've got different streams, like graduate, small business owner, and skilled workers. If you're an international student who studied in Queensland and stayed on to work, you're golden. Points-wise, it really depends on the stream, but generally speaking, you'll need around 75 to 80 for the skilled worker path. Oh, and Queensland has this thing where their website breaks down during high traffic times. So, if you're applying, be prepared. It's like a virtual stampede. 4. South Australia, Adelaide, wine capital, and let's be honest, a bit underrated. South Australia is honestly one of the most accessible states when it comes to PR. They've made it super clear. Hey, we want people to move here, especially if you're willing to live in regional South Australia. They even have something called Talent and Innovators Pathways. Sounds fancy, right? But really, they're just looking for people with skills, a plan, and ideally a job offer. If you're already living and working in South Australia, even in a casual or part-time gig in your nominated occupation, you've got a strong shot. Offshore applicants also get some love, depending on the job. Points-wise, you can often get away with 65 to 70 if you're meeting other criteria. 5. Western Australia, Perth, stunning beaches, and being 3 hours behind everyone else. Western Australia used to be kinda picky, but lately they've had a change of heart. Like midlife crisis levels of change, they've opened up their skilled migration program like never before. They've got two lists, one for people who studied in Western Australia, and one for everyone else. If you're an international graduate from a Western Australia uni, you're in luck. If you're offshore, still a decent shot, especially in sectors like health, trades, and construction. Minimum points? Around 65 to 70 if you're meeting the other criteria. But having a job offer or local experience will always help. Western Australia's like that person who used to ignore your texts, but now suddenly sends memes and wants to hang out. 6. Tasmania. Tiny, quiet, green, and full of surprises. Like the fact that they're one of the easiest states for PR. Tasmania is very welcoming to international students and skilled migrants, especially if you've lived or studied there. They've got different pathways like graduate, working in Tasmania, business owners, and even for those with family in Tasmania. You can even apply from offshore, though you'll need a job offer. Still, for onshore folks, Tasmania is a gem. And the minimum points? Yep, 65 can actually be enough. Tasmania is basically the best-kept secret of Australian migration. It's like finding a hidden cafe that makes the best coffee and never has a line. 7. Australian Capital Territory, Canberra, politicians, roundabouts. So many roundabouts. Australian Capital Territory has its own unique system called the Canberra Matrix, which is like PR bingo. You get points for things like how long you've lived in Canberra, your job, whether you're single or have a partner, and more. It's a bit of a game, to be honest, and to play it well, you'll need to be strategic. For example, living longer in Canberra equals more points. Same with working in your nominated occupation. The base PR point system still applies, but ACT has its own little twist. Generally, you'll want to be aiming for 70 to 85 points in the matrix, which doesn't always line up exactly with the regular system. 8. Northern Territory. All right, now we're in crocodile country. Hot, remote, and full of opportunity, if you're brave enough. Northern Territory is like that tough love coach who sees potential and wants you to work for it. They prefer people who live, study, or work in the territory, and they really want to know you're serious about sticking around. They love applicants in healthcare, trades, and hospitality. And if you're already working there in your field, massive bonus points. Literally and figuratively. You might still need 65 to 70 points minimum, but what really matters here is commitment. If Northern Territory sees you're in it for the long haul, they'll open the door. So, which state should you pick? If you're all about the city life and have killer points, try New South Wales or Victoria. If you're cool with quieter places and want a smoother ride, South Australia or Tasmania are solid. Want sunshine and flexibility? Look at Queensland or Western Australia. Got a thing for rules and order? Australian Capital Territory is your jam. And if you're a bit wild and love the heat, Northern Territory could be a surprising win. All right, that's it for this video. And if this helped you out or gave you a clearer idea of where you stand, hit that like button, subscribe for more Aussie migration info, and drop your questions in the comments. Catch you in the next one.